course, yesterday was an extremely sad day for English football as we found out the news that former England manager Terry Venables had passed away at the age of 80. Terry Venables led the Three Lions through a memorable Euro 96 campaign, won La Liga with Barcelona and won the FA Cup with Spurs as a player and a manager. Over the past 24 hours on talkSPORT, many people who knew the great man have been paying their respects.
If I look at Terry Venables, and what do I see of him? I just see a caring, calm, funny guy, but a great coach, great person.
Dare I say he was a latter-day Pep Guardiola.
So in that time I was 13, 40 years old or 50 years old, so it's the first time I saw win almost a La Liga, no? The first time, a proper man, so I'm so sorry for his family, honestly.
Is Gascoigne going to have a crack? He is, you know. Oh, I say! Brilliant!
You had a belief, and he made you believe that you were going to be top man that day.
Che was involved in saving the club in the early 90s when we were very much nearly going out of business.
Spurs have won the FA Cup for a record 8th time.
I go back to Euro 96 again when we played against Spain. He had a way of getting not just 11 but 15, 17 players understanding what might happen during the game.
It was just the biggest sporting occasion where everybody loved it.
So Terry was phenomenal at getting to the confidence of the players and to make an understanding.
When he first got the England job, you know, he came straight up to me and he just told me outright. He went, right, you're my England's number one.
Oh, Seaman! A save superbly from Nadal. And England go into the semi-finals of the European Championship.
You just heard there from Paul Ince, Clive Allen, Pep Guardiola, Darren Anderton, Gary Mabbott, Teddy Sheringham, Tony Adams and David Seaman, all paying tribute to the late great Terry Venables, who passed away sadly yesterday at the age of 80. I'm guessing your paths crossed, or of course you know about just how wonderful he was as a manager.
Yeah, Euro 96, I mean, our paths never crossed, but a lot of people I've spoke to, and they speak about Terry Venables, say that again, another manager ahead of his time, the tactics that he played. I mean, I've heard some people talk about that Euro 96 squad, and I know they were very close. Went up to Germany, didn't they, on penalties, that he should have been given more time with that national team and that squad of players, because with that squad of players and that manager, they believe that England would have won something. I mean, it's difficult, France 98 or potentially 2002, but they certainly feel that there was a better chance with Terry Venables in charge. So listen, it's a sad day for football and for his family. Obviously, we condolences go out to the family. It just feels like at the minute, it feels like every other week there's a legend or someone passing away sadly, and certainly Terry Venables is up there with one of the biggest.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned about when he was in charge of the England team at the Euros, because my understanding was, growing up as a kid and then seeing him as a manager, that he wasn't the normal type of England manager, right? Everyone wanted someone like Terry Venables, a bit like Clough. Everyone wanted, and the FA always played it safe. They always played with a sort of Gareth Southgate type figure. And I remember when they got Terry Venables, it was like a big deal, because it was this pragmatic, very exciting, very outspoken sort of genius of a manager, right? And you can't doubt his credentials, you can't doubt his experience as a manager. And when we got him in charge of the England team, I remember the expectation levels rose. There was smiles around sort of all the England players in the camp. And I can't really remember the reason as to why he didn't last too long in the job, but it certainly wasn't one for results. No. The reason was something to do with activity off the field. But had the FA stuck with him, and I really wish they would have done now, and I really wish they would have done at the time, had they stuck with him, who knows what England could have won under Terry Venables. And everyone that I've listened to on talkSPORT and even read about has echoed just how much of an unbelievable manager he was. Yeah, a tactician, just fantastic.
We don't message Barcelona if you've not got something about it, but I think someone was making the point earlier, and they said about one of the decisions he made, which it almost feels like the worst decision in the world, but it turned out to be the right decision, was when he sold Maradona to Napoli, but then bought in was Archibald.
Yeah, Stevie Archibald up top.
And people were like, what are you doing? And they won the league.
Yeah.
But that's one of them decisions you go, what? But apparently, you talk about taking risks. Yeah. There's one right there.
I know. Incredible. Let's hear a bit more now of what the former Spurs striker Clive Allen had to say about Terry Venables. He compared him to Pep Guardiola.
He always felt he was ahead of the game. He saw things in the game that he could put into practice on the training field. He influenced the players. They loved working for him. dare I say, he was a latter-day Pep Guardiola. He was quite sensational in the way that he read, thought, and just was instrumental in so many players' careers, in improving them as players.
I mean, it's a big accolade to compare him to Pep Guardiola. I'm not saying he wasn't, but what I am saying is, even if you're being talked about in the same sentence as someone like Pep, you know you're one of the top managers, and he certainly was that. One of Terry Venables' Euro 96 England squad, Teddy Sheringham, joined the breakfast show this morning. He discussed Venables mentally going into their quarter-final with Spain.
You know, we were very close in Euro 96, but, you know, it's ifs and buts is no good. We all know there's only one winning nation every time there's a competition about, but we felt we was onto a good thing there. You know, the footballing world in England had changed their thoughts about the England setup once Terry came in, and it was definitely cut short. Without a shadow of a doubt, we would have gone into the next competition, you know, full of confidence after the way we did at Euro 96.
That was Teddy Sheringham. It's interesting when you look back at that tournament. I don't know if you remember it. You obviously don't remember it as much as I do. How old were you?
I was 12, but I remember.
Oh, you do remember?
I remember quite a lot of it. I remember the Spain game, the penalties. I remember the Gaza Scotland.
Yeah, I mean that was just ridiculous.
The Holland.
Yeah, 4-1.
Shearer. The last one. When it was not the last one. I don't know if it's the last one, but we smashed it into the roof of the net.
Yeah, where Sheringham just squared it too.
Yeah, so I remember enough.
Yeah, it was just the belief, not just amongst the fans, but also the players. You could see that, and it just felt like a great summer because it had everything. It had that feel-good factor. It was in this country. We had an unbelievable squad. You had the song "It's Coming Home." That was his pomp then.
I think I remember a lot of the players actually from Euro 96, and that rings a bell. People like Davor Suker, he was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Poborski, you lot bought him off the back of that, didn't you? Karel Poborski, he's got that
right.
scoop.
Yeah, that was at Villa Park. That one.
Oliver Bierhoff, good player. He was good. Yes, I remember quite a lot of the players.
Yeah, and I think also Venables got a lot out of all the players. I mean, Gary Neville was such a young player as well. And you talk about Gaza. I mean, every time you looked at Gaza, he had a smile on his face. Venables always had his arm around him.
Was 96 the penalty Pearce scored? Pearce scored and went crazy.
Yeah, that was against Spain, that penalty. But also Alan Shearer going into that competition.
Hadn't scored for a long time.
Yeah, and Venables
stuck with him.
Yeah, that shows you, right?
Yeah.
Shows you what a great manager he was.
talkSPORT Drive. Super opinionated sporting debate. Monday to Friday afternoon from 4 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.